live stream. Just got completely kicked out. Just waiting for people to rejoin the second live stream. Oh, YouTube, sometimes. Just waiting for you guys before I start. Hi, Sarah. Just got kicked out. Hi, Karen. Hi, Susie. Hi, Fort View Farm. Hi, Claire. Hi, Wendy. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Nettie. Hi, Rebecca. Hi, Diana. Hi, Jeanette. Hi, Nancy. Hi, Thomas. Thank you, we did. No, just the whole thing just disappeared and it kicked me out and the live stream just disappeared, basically. So it does happen occasionally. Well, I haven't noticed anything, but I haven't done any live streams. So yeah, I've not watched any other live streams at all. Hi, Sonia Rose. So I hope you're all back. And I hope that doesn't happen again. Thank you, Nancy. Are you all back? I do hope so. Hope that's not confused anybody. I've forgotten what I was talking about. What was I talking about? Thank you. Hi, Matthew. Hi, Derek. Yeah. Bizarre. It does occasionally happen, very occasionally. It's happened before. I just wish it would keep the stream there so you can just flip back into it, but you can't. You've got to open a new live stream. Oh, start again. Hey, but we're here now. Yeah, we were talking about Macclesfield, weren't we? So yeah, do I miss it? That was the question. Sometimes. But I think in your life, I think if you've left your hometown, which I did, I mean, I left, but at the time it wasn't my hometown. I was living in Crewe, and I was 18, I think, or 19 when I moved to London. Yeah, I think you just move forward. I mean, I'm the kind of person that kind of makes their home wherever they are, you know, I try to. And my mum brought us up to be independent and to, get out into the world and do whatever, make your way in the world. So I've always been the kind of person who has moved forwards. I've moved around quite a bit. I've lived in several places in London, lived a few places up north, Are we torn between moving up north or down to Vivi? I've not really, we've looked at property in Swanage just out of curiosity, and Swanage is a lovely place, but I've never really thought about moving down to Dorset. It's never been anywhere that I've really known that well. So I've not got a draw towards it. So the draw towards the north is to be nearer to my sisters. So, is there anywhere actually affordable? Yes, there are quite a few affordable places. It's really the house prices in London are completely different to the rest of the UK. It has its own market, which is, hugely influential, but of course, hugely beneficial to us because we've been in this property for how long is it now, Paul? 20,
22 and a half
22
years.
and a half years. So as you can imagine, we live in a detached 3-story house. So it has risen in value quite a lot. So, we're kind of hoping that will be our pension, the profit from the house. So yeah, we'll see. Um, but it was always the case that it would be an investment, and like a lot of people, um, we've really had to push to pay, because the costs go up, but the costs also go down sometimes as well. And we had a number of years where our costs were really low. So we were, really fortunate period of time. Um, but costs have risen again. So yeah, but hey, but it was always an investment. And yeah, when we sell, hopefully it will give us exactly, Tony, it will give us choice. Um, but of course, in London, you are very much spoiled by having everything on your doorstep. So, for example, we've got a hospital on our doorstep. It's literally a 10-minute walk, a few minutes by car. So, when we have had to, on a couple of occasions, access emergency services, we've been able to get there very quickly. So, shops are on the doorstep. There are walks on the doorstep, all of that. But the reason we do need to move is because we still have a significant amount of money to pay on our mortgage. So, in order to be able to afford to do that, we will need to sell the property. So, yeah, that's the way. And, also, if we do move to a rural area, we will be able to afford to buy a bigger car, for example. That will be really important because, rural areas tend to suffer more in terms of, you know, heavy snowfall and inclement weather and all of that. And having good transport for us would be very important. So we would be able to afford that. Um, but yeah, we've been really used to being in the city. We're also fortunate that this particular area is very village-like. We're on the edge of a green, very green area. Mind you, London itself is a very green city. Um, but we're kind of used to it. But I think, many of you who've followed us for a while will know that we've whinged on about, the amount of work that goes on around us, the amount of noise levels that we have to put up with because of that. Um, sometimes we've got constant planes going over from taking off from Heathrow, which we kind of don't mind. You get used to it. But it does get more and more built up as time goes on. So those are the kind of things that we don't enjoy. When we first moved here 23 years ago, it was a very quiet neighborhood, not many families, not many kids, um, not many houses with extensions. And over the past 20 odd years, extensions have gone up, families have moved in, it's become busier, noisier, certainly not as peaceful, certainly not as tranquil in the back gardens as it used to be. So we've not enjoyed it as much. And I think when you're not enjoying it, that's the time to start, thinking about a change. So I think in terms of location at the moment, we don't have any specific locations that we are drawn towards. Um, I think it will be a case of doing a search and just trusting that the right place will appear at the right time. And yeah, like Leslie's just said, you know, the whole process, especially in the UK, is really, really ridiculous. We've been lucky in previous times when we sold and bought because the process was fairly good. But the thing about the process is you have to keep on top of it. You have to keep badgering estate agents and solicitors. You know, you have to keep on pushing at them all of the time. So, yeah. But, you know, we're lucky in Ealing because Ealing is a very pleasant place to live. Um, lots of open space, lots of, you know, beautiful walks. Yeah, I think that's right, Derek. I mean, you know, also I think that one of the major things that I think we will find strange, Ealing is a very multicultural borough, and you've got people from everywhere in Ealing, and we really like that. You know, it makes it very interesting. You've got people from different countries, different backgrounds. Um, I would find it very odd to be in an all-white community. I would find that very odd. But we have to face up to the facts that, you know, a lot of communities are not multicultural, you know. Let me just go back over the comments. Judy, Norfolk prices have gone sky high. Well, we did have a friend a few years ago, our friend Karen, who sadly died. She moved to Suffolk. She was in the borough of Ealing, and she moved to Suffolk and had a beautiful little house. And we did look at prices in Suffolk, and it was very appealing at one stage. Yeah. The comments. Ronnie, I've only been to Liverpool, I think once.
Oh.
What?
Oh, it froze.
It froze. Paul said it froze. It seems okay for me.
Yeah.
Sorry, just having a look, just making sure. Hi, Santoshi. Yeah, moving is stressful. I'm just checking whether I've missed anybody. Oh, Sarah, you see Guernsey on Google Maps and you'll see how tiny Guernsey is. We were talking about that with Vivi because where Vivi lives in Swanage, you can look across the water to the Isle of Wight. And it always used to strike me when we'd fly to Guernsey from Southampton, and you've just taken off, you go over the Isle of Wight, and it always looks so small. But then you see Guernsey, and you realise what a small island Guernsey is, you know. And I mean, Guernsey's beautiful, but we could never afford to live on Guernsey. Just far too expensive, really, really expensive. Are we seeing comments from the States? We're seeing your comments, Nona. I've never been to Sark, but Paul would have been to Sark. We used to visit the island of Herm, that you can get the boat over to from Guernsey. And that is lovely. There's no cars on Herm. There's like a shop and a hotel, but it's got the most gorgeous, beautiful scenery and the most beautiful turquoise waters, you know, absolutely gorgeous. I think I'm seeing everybody's comments. Hi, Penny. Hi, Louise. Hi, Tammy Lynn. Yeah, so there you go. So in terms of moving, um, we will let things unfold, and we're certainly not going to be rushing anywhere. And we're also going to keep our eye on how the markets are doing, and we will know when the time is right. You know, there's a few jobs that need to be done around the house, which we're going to get on with this spring. But again, we're doing it at our own pace. I'm certainly not going to be rushed into doing anything like that. Hello there, Robert. Thank you, Sally. Actually, talking about knitting, this afternoon I spent an hour doing some crochet. So I wanted to remind myself of how to crochet, and I wanted to look at a couple of videos and just get back into that because I quite enjoy crochet. Although I've never done anything significant than a scarf. So I'm going to be picking that up quite soon as well as another winter hobby. Jenny, would we consider doing some book reviews? We've kind of done a little bit of that, and it didn't really get watched very much. A few of you enjoyed it, but to be totally mercenary now, really, we need to focus on the things that make regular income. And the video set that we've got at the moment and the routine that we've got at the moment fills the week and brings in regular income. And also, what you've got to be careful with YouTube is you've got to be careful to maintain a sort of, what's the word? A sort of regular point, if you like, a regular level of engagement. Otherwise, what happens is YouTube says, oh, not many people are watching your video. We're going to bring down your revenue per 1,000 views because not many people are watching. So that can kind of knock off your earnings. So that's what we're sort of trying to maintain, this routine at the moment. Yeah, I think it's good to try and keep on top of things. There's a little bit of decorating that needs to be done in our house, but I haven't done a massive round of decorating since the time we were locked down, 2020, I think it was, summer, when I did the last lot of decorating. Yeah, we've got a few jobs to do, but we will get them done in good time. Thank you, Robert. Well, we do have a huge library of shots on our Ko-fi page in the Ko-fi shop. You don't have to buy anything, but you can browse the shots. There's quite a lot on there if you'd like to see any more. And I do try to regularly post stuff that I take, so there will always be more stuff coming. Thank you. Thank you, Penny. I think we've sort of reached a good sort of routine at the moment, and we're going to maintain that for a little while longer. And of course, anything new that I bring in to my life, I will share with you in my vlogs. Yeah, yeah. Check it out, Robert, because you can browse through them and have a look at them. And if you like any of them that much, you can do a digital download. Yeah. Paula, would we have any pets when we move home? We would certainly consider it. Um, we love cats, but we went through quite a number of issues with our cats in terms of health, their health.
And they're very expensive.
Yeah, and like Paul's just said to me, they're very expensive, and you've got to have a good income to make sure you're looking after them. And we do look after our animals very well. But we were sort of unlucky, they had quite a few health issues. And really, the avoidance of having animals, and I tend to sort of use the word companion animals because I prefer that to the word pet. It's the trauma of losing them and also nursing them through their health issues. You know, it's traumatizing. But I think if we were to live in a rural area, I'd prefer to be away from main roads. Um, I wouldn't mind having cats that did go outdoors because our cats were house cats. You get a lot of very fast drivers, and many, many years ago, we lost a couple of cats to traffic. So that in itself is traumatic, you know. But I do also like dogs as well. And in some ways, dogs, especially a small dog, they're a little bit easier because they're a little bit more portable, you know. No, I would never keep chickens. No. I can't be dealing with, the things that you have to deal with chickens, and no, 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 no. It is heartbreaking. It really is. And I don't feel as though I'm ready to put myself through that again, to be honest. But yeah, um, cats maybe, or a small dog. Yeah, because I love dogs as well. I love most animals. Um, yeah, we always had dogs growing up. I was never a cat person until we moved into a house that was a rental, and the cat came with the house, Molly,
With a discount.
and we looked after her. Yeah. Yeah, I could do pet sitting, but I can't be bothered. Can't be bothered with that.
Well, it's difficult to do pet sitting with all the videos that we do as well.
Yeah, it's great idea, but it's not something that I'd be into. Um, yeah, maybe one day we'll see what happens. We'll allow things to unfold. There's so many what ifs and maybe, and yeah, we could do this, could do that, but we don't tend to, and this feeds into your question, Linny, um, we don't tend to plan too far ahead. I've talked about this before. We do try to be in the here and now, you know, and live in the moment and try not to make too many firm plans about anything because none of us know what the next couple of hours brings. And really, the present is all we've got. So, yeah, I like things to unfold. I like a certain amount of spontaneity, you know, in life. And I think very often things come to you. Like one of you just said, Penny, you said cats often find you. I would absolutely love one of the neighbouring cats to pop in the house. Now, you should see me. You should see me at the back door whenever a cat is in the garden and comes near the back door. I'm like a child. I'm like, come here, come to me, let me cuddle you. Oh, you're beautiful, look at you. Oh, I want to squeeze you. And they just look at me and go, yeah, no, I'm going. And they run off. So I'd love to, nick a neighborhood cat for a couple of hours every day and give them a cuddle. But they're just so timid. I don't know what it is. but they use our garden like a litter tray. So literally they do. So yeah, we'll see. No one knows what the future holds. Well, yeah, nobody, I think some people like to make plans. Some people like to think about the past. Some people like to reflect on things that have happened. I think it's natural for us all to have moments where we think about the past, think about people we've lost, think about situations we've been in. Those kind of things haunt me in the mornings generally if I'm sat in bed. Oh, got a dribbly nose. But I try to move on pretty quickly from those kind of things. And yeah, just try to be now, because that literally is it. And to go back to the animals thing, Paul's just mentioned, we've got a sense of freedom. We were sort of really tied for a good part of 20 years to looking after cats, being at home, and if we had to go away, we'd have to do it separately very often, which we don't like to do now at this time in our lives. If we go away, we like to be together. So that's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to stay. So we don't want to be tied to anything at the moment, which is why, maybe having a visiting semi-feral cat would be quite fun, Oh, that's nice. Sorry, just catching up with the comments. Yeah, happens when you're busy making other plans. Exactly. So just get on with today. That's the thing. Oh, that's sweet, Penny. Yeah, cat. I mean, this is also one of the reasons why we had indoor cats, because cats that go outside, and you've got lots of people that say things like, oh, cats are only happy if they go outside. You can't keep a cat indoors. It's absolute rubbish. It really is. As long as cats have got a number of different levels to exist on, where they can climb up and down and play top cat with each other, because we had three, they're quite happy. As long as they've got plenty of space to run about, they're perfectly happy. As long as they've got warm spaces to sleep, because they sleep most of the time, especially at a certain age, and good food and a water supply and lots of love, they're perfectly happy. Cats don't need to go outside. And what I was going to say is that cats tend to decimate the bird populations as well. There is a huge problem with cats being, in the local communities and killing a lot of birds. So yeah, we've had quite a few treats, Angela. And of course, we went down to Swanage. That was a treat for us. So what we've done is put a little bit of money towards our fuel, things like that. We've had lots of chocolates, stuff like that. We just ate a Terry's chocolate mint, which was delicious. So thank you very much. We have had quite a number of treats, and we've had some lovely cooking as well, some lovely dishes, so yeah, it has gone to good use. Mini pigs, yeah, I've seen those mini pigs. They're very sweet, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, cats, they're destructive as well. I mean, we've often said any ornament that we had at that time was destroyed. Beautiful ornaments, beautiful vases, knocked off the shelves, destroyed, because we were quite naive when we first had the three cats, you know. We naively thought we could train them. No, you can't train them. Yeah, we had a really nice time down in Swanage. It was really good to see Vivi, and it was good to get out every day for good walks, lots of fresh air, lots of good food, lots of conversation, a couple of late nights as well. So yeah, it was great fun, really lovely. Oh, Sarah, Christmas trees and cats. Oh yeah, ours used to find a way of going up the trunk, the central trunk, because we used to have real trees in those days at Christmas. We did celebrate regularly. They would go up the centre and just sort of hold on until they'd eventually sort of pull it and fling themselves off, you know. Yeah. Oh, the playground, Penny. Yeah, that was in the woodlands at Durlston. There were several things. Um, and luckily there weren't too many kids, so we could get on them. A couple of swings, there were a couple of little walkways and a couple of sort of big net hammocks that you could swing in. So yeah, it was really good fun. Really good fun. Well, we had plenty of scratching posts dotted around the house, and they still went for the furniture. Um, yeah. A Fanny Craddock dish. Well, it would depend on the dish because most of her dishes looked disgusting, and she used a lot of meat as well. Um, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one. Yeah, it was super fun. We had a great time. Really good time. Just catching up with the comments. We've got 101 people watching. How marvellous. How lovely. Thank you, everybody. The fudge, Tamilin. Oh, yeah, the fudge was fantastic. Oh, and it's dropped down to 94 people watching. Bye.
I've got 101.
It'll change. Cats and trees don't mix well. No, they don't. And they loved the ornaments and playing with them. Yeah. Could I impersonate Fanny Craddock? Probably. Um, yeah. I'd have to have a bit of practice. She sort of spoke with the received pronunciation, didn't she, Fanny? She was always shouting at her assistants. So let me think about that one. Yeah.
Or falling down the steps from the boat in Guernsey.
So did she live in Guernsey for a while then, Paul? So she lived in Guernsey for a while. Yeah.
And used to get very merry on the boat.
Yeah, she was quite famous for enjoying a drink or two. Yeah. No, I've got eyebrows, exactly. Yeah. I mean, to do a proper Fanny Craddock, you'd have to have them drawn on up here, wouldn't you? Yeah, very odd. Vera. Unfortunately, I don't do a very good Vera because I can't do a Geordie accent. But, you know, my impersonation involved making up things that Vera might say, you know, like things like when she's interviewing somebody, I always think she's always said things like, "Have you murdered somebody, love? Because if you have, we'll find out." But of course, she never said that, you know. No, I'm not going to be dressing up like anybody. You know the amount of time and effort it takes to get into any kind of costume? I don't think so. I ain't got that kind of time. Mind you, if I let the grey come through any longer, my eyebrows will disappear. I'm desperate to dye them.
You have dyed.
No, I've not dyed them yet. Not got round to it. Yes, I dye my eyebrows, everybody. I'm not yet ready for grey eyebrows. Not quite yet. Yeah. Oh, well, we had quite a few people watching. It's dropped. It's dropped down to 76 people now. Hey ho. Paul could be Johnny. Yeah, well, he's my Johnny anyway. Okay. Sorry, just having a look at your comments. Have I started reading the book? Yeah, of course. It's great. The Gallery of Regrettable Food. Okay. Arctic Blonde. Well, you know, I always wanted to be blonde when I was a child, because I had very, very thick, wiry, dry, almost black hair, and dark eyes. You know, I've got green eyes, but they're quite dark. And I always wanted to be blonde and blue-eyed because I thought that was perfect and lovely, and yeah. So I got my wish, you know. Quite happy with my grey. I would never dye it. The voice and video are out of sync. It's not at this end. It's okay here. You loved the Christmas tree episode. Was that me putting the Christmas tree down? Is it in sync, Paul? Yeah. Microwave. Yeah, I love that. Sorry, just catching up with the comments. I missed a few. Sorry, everybody. Yeah, grey hair. I started going grey when I was about 2021, something like that. And I'd always dyed my hair because, you know, I was a teenager in the 80s. And it was just the thing to dye your hair. And I would dye my hair very often once a week, a different colour. And my hair was so thick and strong, it could take a bleach and a recolor and another bleach, and, you know, it would just take it. So I dyed my hair, and I kind of didn't really know what my natural color was going to be at a certain point, you know. So I let it grow out and realized that I was starting to go grey. So I quickly dyed it again. And very often I'd dye it blue black, and, you know, and I realized that the line, the roots were coming through so quickly that it just became completely pointless dyeing it, you know. It would literally be 2 days and the roots would start coming through. So, you know, I gave up dyeing. Plus, dye is really not very good for you, especially if you're doing it regularly. So I just gave up dyeing my hair, and now I occasionally give it a tone, just to keep it looking silver. And in fact, it's due a tone. It looks slightly yellow, but it's the light in here. It's actually a very icy grey, you know. Yeah. Putting it up, putting the tree up. Okay. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I think the sync does go out occasionally, you know. Did I bleach my jeans too? Actually, funny you should mention that, but when we went down to see Vivi, I actually bought a t-shirt, a tie-dye t-shirt. And I remember doing tie-dye jeans in the 80s, you know. Yeah. I used to love doing things like that. We used to dye everything that we could. So if we wanted to change our clothes, we'd use Dylon, and we'd dye them. You had to use a big pan because it was the days before they had washing machine dyes. You had to do it in a huge saucepan. Dyeing shoes as well. If you fancied a new pair of shoes, you'd dye your shoes. So yeah, loved all of that kind of thing. Hi, Robin. Yeah, I use the purple shampoo, Nancy. Yeah. Happy New Year, Robin. Yeah, grey is really trendy. Yeah, I used to bleach my hair as well. I used to go white blonde every summer. And I don't need to now. Saves a fortune. Yeah, I think maybe the internet's very busy at the moment, so this end is okay. It's pretty much in sync, maybe slightly out. Oh, yeah, Derek. Yeah, especially if you're using a black hair dye, you have to be very, very careful. And many, many years ago, I used to henna my hair as well. I don't know whether anybody's familiar with the original henna powder, which you mix with hot water, and it literally looks like a cow pat. And that is really, really hard to apply. You have to put newspaper down all over the bathroom, and yeah, but it's excellent for conditioning your hair. And I used to do it a really nice red color. Red hair used to suit me because I'm very pale skinned, and I think I've got a little bit of red in me. My beard, when it started turning grey, started going red before it went grey. Any grand plans for the year? No, we don't really make plans. We let things unfold as things happen. We might, if we're visiting Vivi, we'll talk a few weeks before and set a sort of date, you know? Yeah. Thank you, Irene. Hi, Ange. Well, surprise, Paul. I bought a lottery ticket for tonight.
Oh, well, there we are.
Bye, Judy.
We could win the premium bond.
We could. We've got some premium bonds
Dad left us.
that we inherited from Paul's dad. And we do occasionally win small amounts on the premium bonds. Yeah. But yes, I did buy a lottery ticket for tonight. So I do occasionally have a little flutter on the lottery, very occasionally. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I believe so, Sally. It's a super moon, isn't it? Yeah, it's going to be very big and bright. I will have a look out at some
It looks
point.
amazing at the moment.
Well, it's quite high though, isn't it now?
Well, it was lower when I saw it.
Yeah, you've got to catch the moon when it's low to really appreciate the size and the brightness because of the contrast with objects on the earth. You know, that's when it looks its biggest. Yeah. Oh, Derek, we can live in hope, can't we? You know, I mean, many of you know we told the story before. We did actually win quite a large amount of money many, many years ago when we first moved in here.
2004.
2004, a year after we'd moved in here, we won £25,000 on an online game. Paul used to do the lottery for his mum and dad because in Guernsey you can't do it. So he used to have an account, and I think you had £1 left or something in the account, and he played a game, Cluedo, I think it was, one of those instant win games online, and won £25,000. Unfortunately, Paul had lost a similar amount of money in business. So
it's a show collapsing.
A show, yeah, basically a show that Paul was involved in collapsed, leaving owing money. And so it just balanced that out. So we didn't really see any benefit from that money. The way that life works, huh? Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be very clear skies. So I believe Saturday night's going to be -4. I think I mentioned that earlier. So it's going to feel very, very cold. We've got our little electric heater on at the moment in here. So it's just taking the chill off. Yeah, he was excited, but also it was bittersweet, you know. When he showed me the printout, I thought it said £250,000 and I got extremely excited.
And then you were disappointed.
And then I was disappointed that it was only £25,000. Yeah. Well, we would have been massively out of pocket. That's what I mean, you know. It would have ruined us completely. So, you know, that's why it was very fortuitous that it happened at the time. So, yeah, we would have been ruined, completely ruined. Yeah. So, you know, it was a really dangerous time for us financially because we'd only just moved in here. We'd just bought this house and, you know, this show collapsed and leaving debt. That's what happens. So, yeah, it was, yeah, just one of those things in life. The right thing happened at the right time and we were essentially bailed out, you know. I think some of the money was recouped over time, wasn't it? A small amount.
Of the 250,000, they recouped 4,000.
Oh, right. Okay. So no.
And we got none because that went to the
Yeah.
lawyers,
Yeah.
insolvency people.
Yeah. Hey ho. C'est la vie. You know, that's all you can do in those kind of circumstances. That's all you can say. Swings and roundabouts, you know, all of that. Yeah. But, you know, a little bit of good luck would be great occasionally in life. Hi, Grace. Yeah, it was, we lost the live stream earlier, but we are coming up to 50 minutes. So we are going to start tying up now because I'm starving. I need to eat, frankly. Yeah. It's trying to snow. Where are you, Tony? Well, you know, let's hope. I mean, to be honest, my hopes have gone beyond the personal, you know, and I know it sounds cliched, but I'm hoping for certain areas of the world to have peace. That's what I'm hoping for, you know.
And other areas of the world to be without dictators.
When I turn on the news, and I do like to stay in touch with the news and try to stay, you know, abreast of situations, I find it absolutely heartbreaking and terrible because I try to put myself in other people's shoes. You know, can you imagine living in a country that is war-torn? I just think it's the most horrific thing. I really do. So for 2026, that's what I wish. I wish that those people could have some peace and that people who have been displaced can find a home, you know. That's what I hope for. I think personal health is under your own control. Happiness is a transient thing. You know, we have moments of happiness in life. It's unrealistic to expect happiness all of the time. But it just doesn't happen, does it? So, you know, I'm hoping, yeah, exactly, Leslie. It has been some very unreasonable behaviour by a lot of people in power, very poor behaviour. And I want balance again to be restored. I really do, because actually it's not that hard to achieve, but people are stuck in these ways, these greedy ways, these, land grabbing, greedy people that have no sense of decency, you know. That's what I'm hoping for. Yeah, totally. And yes, people need to be kind to each other as much as possible, you know, or just shut up. If people have got nothing to say, just shut up. Process your mean thoughts yourself or in private. But let's have peace. That's what we need in this world, because it would solve a lot of issues. Well, yes, of course. I mean, we both have health issues, but health can be improved to a certain degree through taking care of yourself as much as you can. Um, but yes, of course, people have challenges that, will crop up, um, you know, but let's hope that global issues start to get sorted this year. That's what I hope for. Yeah. The Monk's Walk in the US has been inspirational. I don't think I've seen that. Well, it's a weird thing, isn't it, Irene? Because I think honesty can be said, but it can be said using the right kind of words, you know? Criticism is sometimes necessary.
Oh yeah, the monks walk as well. A whole load of Buddhist monks walked across.
Oh, I didn't
America.
see that.
Yeah.
I didn't see the Buddhist monks. Yeah. Well, let's hope. But, I hate to say it, and I am going to be honest at this moment in time, it hasn't done an awful lot of good. There's a lot of organizations that are saying we need to pray, we need to do that. Well, actually, none of that's done any good. We need action from the people in power. That's what we need, and we need certain people in power not to be in power. That's the frankness of it, isn't it? That's what we need, and kindness is just kindness, isn't it? Thank you, Jenny. Well, yeah, I mean, what else is there other than being real, And yes, there are plenty of channels out there that really aren't real. We know a couple, and what you see is not the reality, So it's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. We just need kindness, compassion, honesty, and people in power to do the right thing. I've said my piece. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to tie up now because my tummy's rumbling. Yeah, let's promote peace, love, compassion, all of those things. Let's do our every little helps, as they say. And it's true, because we can put pressure on those people in power. Vote for the right people, Okay, I'm going to tie up now. I'm going to say goodbye. Thanks again for joining me. I'm so pleased that you've, taken time out at this time of year, especially. It's only the 2nd of January, We're still in that weird time, aren't we? When nobody knows what day it is, what time it is, or anything. Yeah. So take care of yourselves. I'll be back again next week, hopefully. And yeah, thank you everybody for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your Christmas. We're still in the 12 days of Christmas, aren't we? Enjoy the rest of it. Yeah, it's going to be a long month, isn't it? Yeah. Thank you for joining me. Take care, everybody. I'm going to go first. Oh, we need to do top fans. We need to do the crowns, don't we? So number 10 is Paul. He's a cheat. Number 9, Karen at the plot. Number 8, Helen B. Number 7, Diana. Number 6, Sally RS. Number 5, Tony. Number 4 is Derek. Number 3 is Jeanette. Number 2 is Carlene. And number 1 is Leslie. Woohoo! Take care, everybody. I'm putting the phone down first. No, I am. Bye for now.